I'm Louise Harris from Last Research and Editing and Christian Marketing Experts. And this week on The Last Word, we're going to be talking about D-Day and how it can remind you to never give up. It also will remind you that we need to preserve our past. So let's get started. Today is D-Day, the day when the men in World War II stormed Normandy and pretty much saved the world from Nazi and communism and protected our freedom. Without D-Day, Germany probably would not have fallen. But from what I understand, and I was not there, but it wasn't an easy trek. They came in on the beach, so they were easily seen, and they were constantly shot at from the air and from the mountains or from a high lookout post. I'm not exactly sure which, but they were being shot at, and they had to just keep going, and many of the people died when they were storming Normandy, but many of them kept going because they did not give up. They wanted freedom that badly. So they kept going, and eventually they did make it to where they needed to be, and they did be a significant turning point in the war. But let's also talk about what this means for all of us today. The people who were in World War II are dying. There's not too many of them left. And yes, you can talk to your grandparents. For example, my mom, she was a child during World War II, and she can tell you things like victory gardens and rationing and how hard it was on the home front, but she really wasn't in Europe. And the ones who were fighting in Europe, many of them are old, and some have dementia or Alzheimer's and can't remember what actually happened. But it is still good to ask them, and because we are writers, we need to preserve our past. And this is actually a passion of mine, because in the 1700s and 1800s, people wrote letters. They wrote in journals, and newspapers were big. All of that was passed down from generation to generation. So we learned about our history through them, through the letters and journals and the newspapers that were passed down. But today, everything is online, and people aren't writing letters. Once in a while you might get a card, but for the most part people are sending digital cards, or they're not sending any cards at all. They're using email, and in the email they'll put one little sentence, but they won't really go into their life story anymore. It is so important as writers that we need to help people write their stories. We need to preserve our past, and a good way to do that is interviewing people and writing a story, even if it's not sold and you just pass it down to their family members. Then you're at least preserving their stories, and you're giving a little bit of history to generations to come. And it is important, and we as writers should be promoting this. We as writers also should be fighting the government that keeps wanting to take away our rights we need to stand and protect our copyrights and protect our freedom to write and to speak and say what we want. Because if we don't stand and fight for our freedom like they did in Normandy, our freedoms are going to be gone. And it'll be a shame for all those people in World War II to have protected our freedom, only for us in 2021 to fritter our freedoms and let them disappear. I invite you to visit my website, lastresearchandediting.com, christianmarketingexperts.com, amazon.com/author/Louise Harris. Buy some books. They all have a historical component, but they're all set in modern day. But they are the 1776 series, and there is a link to the Revolutionary War. So, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Protect your freedom to write, and go out there and preserve history.